In the subtle presence of Param Puja Gurudev and Paramandaniya Mataji, I would like to start with the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri, as most of the people would know, is the foundation of the Vedic wisdom and Vedic scriptures. It is the entire premise of whatever the Vedic wisdoms are trying to convey. And the purpose, meaning, and the concept of the Gayatri Mantra is very unique and exceptional. It is asking for purity, asking for enlightenment, illumination, and asking for refinement, embellishment of the human personality. Whatever we are, if we could be a decent human being, if we could be a better human being than what we are right now, that is the prayer of this unique and exceptional piece of Vedic mantra. So those of you who could say the Gayatri Mantra, I would request you to join me in the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra together. Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurbhuvaha Swaha Tatsaveturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhemahi Dheyo Yo Naha Prachodaya. In the subtle presence of Param Puja Gurudev and Paramandaniya Mataji, on this very special and unique day, then when we are discussing very interesting concept, the concept of the human excellence. And to understand the background behind the human excellence, it would be important for us to teleport ourselves. If we just think like 2400 years ago, when many of the Indian wisdom traditions were just being implemented and executed, Yoga Sutra was being written by Patanjali, Ayurveda was being given birth from Charak and Shushruta, Kautilya was writing the Arthashastra, and that time India had about 32 different schools of philosophy, including the major ones like Yoga, Sankhya, Vedanta, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshik. And all of them, if we try to understand that why there were so many different schools of philosophy, why there were so many different faith traditions, what was the end point, what was the pinnacle, what was the summit that they were trying to look for, and we would understand that each of them, whether it was yoga or whether it was Vedanta or whether it was Sankhya, whether it was Tantra, they all were asking for one single end point, that was the human purification. That was to reach to the final frontier of the human adventure, Paramatma. Whether we reach through the path of Nirvana or Moksha or Kaivalya, it becomes immaterial, but the end point was there. The destination that each of them were looking for is the last possible point that a human soul can reach, whichever the mode and medium is. If we try to read the definition of yoga from a Bhagavad-Gita perspective, that when Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he is trying to give a definition to Arjun of yoga, he says, Buddhi yukto jahati hai, ubhay sukrata dushkrate, tasmad yoga yujusva, yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is the excellence of all actions. He says that if the true yoga would descend into anyone's life, mine or yours or anyone belonging to any faith tradition, if the true yoga would descend into his life and personality, then every single dimension of his life, whether physical or social or emotional or spiritual, it would reach to its summit, it would reach to its Everest. That is the purpose of the human excellence, is to unleash the last possible possibility of the human life. Human life that we have got, Gurudev used to say, either by default or by blessing. If it is by default, then there is no harm in wasting this opportunity. Or there is another possibility. Another possibility is that we have got this life as a blessing to transcend this possibility of taking birth again and again and to reach to the ultimate supreme consciousness, Paramatma, Parabrahma, Parameshwar, whichever way we say it or whatever way we call it. And that path of reaching to the ultimate summit of human options and human possibilities is called human excellence. And one way to understand this possibility is that we have been given the human life, but by the time we understand the value of it, is probably too late. The Indian scriptures, the Indian wisdom traditions, they talk about human beings passing through millions and millions of life. 84 lakh yonis that there is being conceptualized, where human beings, they pass through the life of every single animal before reaching to a human life. Whether we call that from an evolutionary perspective or from a spiritual ethos, it makes no difference. The central point of the message is very clear, that the human life that we have got is not by fluke, it's not by coincidence. It is there because we have strived hard to receive this possibility, and now when it is here with us, we have to consider that how we can live a life of legacy, meaning, purpose, agenda and motive. That is the whole idea of human excellence. There was a beautiful story mentioned in the Indian folk tales, and the story is of a young man who read somewhere. He read that next to the river that he was living by, there were millions and millions of stone, and one stone was the stone of Paras. And Paras is a mythological stone. The idea was that if you touch that stone to any metal, then that metal would turn into gold, and all the stones would look the same. So how would you know that which of them is the stone of Paras? So he made a habit. Every morning he would go with the iron powder on the left hand, he would pick up the stone, touch it. Here it turns into gold, fine. Now throw in the water. So he won't have to pick up the stone again. And as it happens in the human life, it became a habit. A week on without any problem. Just like we live the human life, every morning we are getting up, getting ready, going to work, coming back. And then after a while we completely forget that why we are repeating the same routine. Life becomes like a zombie, and same thing happened to him. He was repeating the same routine, going in the morning, picking up the stone, touching it here, throwing in the water, forgot why I was doing it. A week went, a month went, a year went, 20 years went. 20 years later, once he picked up the stone, touched it here, throwing the water, looked at the iron powder, turned into gold, but the stone was gone. Same is with the human life. By the time you understand the value and worth of it, by the time you understand the significance and importance of it, it's too late. Stone is gone. That mythological stone of Paras is the human life. By the time we understand that same human life we could have used and employed and utilized to live a life of meaning, purpose, leaving a legacy. We are not here to increase the population of the planet. We are here to leave a legacy. We are here to leave a message. And that is the central message of all wisdom traditions of India, and I'm sure of all Greco-Roman, Latin, all major philosophies. They have been calling about the same thing, that remember the worth of human life that you have been given. So one idea to create this presentation was to remember the beauty of human life, how we can live it with a meaning and purpose. And second was, of course, a personal reason to create it. And the story goes long time ago when I was working in a hospital in London. A young boy, 27 years old, he presented to our clinic, and he had multiple issues. One of the issues that he had is that he developed a habit of taking cocaine. And if somebody is taking cocaine for a long period of time, especially if he's snorting it, then one of the problems they develop is that they develop Lilliputian hallucination. The word comes from Lilliput. Gulliver in Lilliput, you may have heard this story. And they see the small people crawling all over the body. They are not there, just the imaginary people, and he was seeing them. And then he also developed diabetes because of taking steroids for long. So he was using the insulin syringe to dig these people out. 27 holes were there in the body the night we saw him. Very dreadful condition, very bad condition. Took like 3 months to get him better, and 3 months were horrendous because every single day he would fight with the medical staff because he wanted to pull every single thing out. He did not want to do anything, and very difficult time that we had. And one night, I think we were having a discussion, and I spoke to him and I said, "Why are you so angry with yourself?" And he said that, "I'm not angry with me, I'm angry with my father. And I asked why, and he said that the reason I'm angry is that look for a normal person. He is always looking for a next podium to reach. He's getting the education so that he can get a good degree to get a good job so that he could have a decent house, decent livelihood, decent family. He said I was like 16, 18 years old when I got Ferraris in gift and helicopters in gift and had nothing to prove to himself. So no place to go up but only to go down. Life took a path of decline. So I said, your father may not be responsible for it. It was not his intention to destroy your life. He did not want to annihilate it. He wanted to help you, but unfortunately, it has taken that path. Uh, but even if your life is bad, as you say it is, you need to think that whose responsibility it is. Are you gonna live your life blaming your father for it, or are you gonna take the responsibility for it? That's it. Did not see him again. 3 years later, he wrote a letter from South Africa saying that that night when we had that discussion, it was really, it pinched my heart, he said. And he said, I went on a world tour. And world tour, he ended up in a very small and remote part of India, a tribal part of India called Bastar. A number of people of our ashram are from that beautiful part of India called Bastar. So he went there and he saw a farmer there, and that farmer had barely anything to feed himself, or very uh, poor family, but had 4 children, and they were very happy together, enjoying their time. They were eating something insignificant, but they even invited him to join. So he was surprised. He thought that how come, they have got nothing and still they are so happy. So he asked him, asked his interpreter to ask this farmer. He said, how come he's so happy he's got nothing? And when farmer heard the question, he laughed. He said, who told him I've got nothing? He said, tell him I've got family. And the moment this boy heard that thing, he said, I immediately took a flight back home to London, hugged my father on reaching there, and we both cried like never before. He said, it took us 4 hours to say the first word. And then I said, first time I realized that life is not supposed to be pain, but is supposed to be source of happiness. And then he asked a question, how do we make life a source of happiness? Answer to his question is here. We make the life source of happiness if there is a meaning and purpose behind it. If there is no meaning and no purpose, life becomes a burden. Every second of the life becomes dreadful. And if there is a meaning, if we are going for a destination, if we are working hard for it, if our life is filled with a purpose, if we are seeking the purpose, living the purpose, dreaming the purpose, breathing the purpose, then every second becomes an act of celebration. This is what we aim for from this presentation, to make your life an act of celebration. And this presentation is crafted with 3 different segments, 3 different questions, you would say. First is to ask yourself that what is the purpose of human life? The enlightened souls or illumined beings who have taken birth on this planet and lived a life of meaning and purpose. What was the message that they wanted to convey to us? And second, that on that criteria, on that definition, how are we living our life? Third, if we are not living the life properly, then what do we need to do? And when I say we means humanity, not only people like us who are saying and listening to this conversation. So this presentation is all about this simple questions. And I said that I will start with the words of illumined beings. And when I say illumined beings, of course, because this presentation is created in India, we have got multiple references of the great souls from India. Does not mean that they are only here, they are everywhere, but the reference would come primarily from India. And I start with the words of one very noble soul, Swami Vivekananda. You may have heard his name. He was the propounder of Neo Vedanta, very well respected, great orator, and remarkable human being, full of compassion, kindness for every single soul. He said many great things, but this one in particular is of greatest value to all of us. He said, all the power in the universe is already ours. Ours means human being. It is we who have put our hands before our eyes and cry that it is dark. If I do this, if I switch off all the lights and everything from where this room is lit, completely dark here, and then I start to complain, where is the sun, where is the sun? It's not fault of the sun. Sun is there, I'm not looking in that direction. Same is with the human life. The moment it was given to us, opportunity was given to us to live it with a purpose. If we don't do it, we can't blame it to someone else. We are sitting on the driver's seat of our life, and we can't complain to someone else if it is going haywire, if it is going in the wrong direction. It is our duty to take it to the right direction. And everyone has got that possibility. Abraham Lincoln, I remember he failed like 15 times before becoming the president. 13 times his caution money was taken out. Imagine, 13 times caution money was taken out. And then he became one of the most notable presidents of the United States. Possible for everyone. There is a beautiful story of a great man in India, Varad Raj. Varad means great, and Varad also means ox, buffalo. And he was called Varad not because he was great, but because his mind was like animal. And teachers used to hate him. Everyone used to say, no, 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 we don't want to teach you. Parents did not used to love him. And one day he decided that he would become the scholar. And his determination changed the path of his life. He became such a notable scholar that still, if you are reading the masters in Sanskrit, you have to read his compendium. He is the founder of the Vyakarana, the grammar of Sanskrit. Everyone has got the possibility to change the course of their life. And that is what the message of Swami Vivekananda is saying. And when he was saying this, he used to quote a story of Vedanta, which is a very beautiful and meaningful story. Stories of a lioness. She was pregnant, about to hunt. A hunter came and shot the lioness. So she died, but before dying, she gave birth to a lion cub. And this lion cub was in despair, had no mother and no father, and crying and roaming around in the forest. A group of deers, a herd of deers, they saw him. So they started to, look after him out of kindness and compassion. Now this lion cub, being reared by a herd of deers, forgot that he was a lion. He started to believe that he was a deer. One day big lion came, roared. All the deers started to run. This lion also started to run. So lion thought, why on earth this small lion is running? So he stopped the lion. He said, where are you going? He said, I am a deer. He said, no, you are not a deer, you are a lion. He said, no, I am a deer. So he got hold of him. He took him to the river. He said, look your reflection. Is there a difference between you and me? And the moment he saw and realized that he and the lion standing next to him are the same, roar came back. He became the lion. For a lion to remember that he is a lion, he needs another lion. For us to remember that we are the divine soul. For us to remember that we are, as Upanishads are saying, Tattvamasi soham aham brahmasmi, that divine is inside you. Vijnanoham pragyanoham. For us to remember the beauty of those remarkable words that our soul can soak at every second, we need to remember the life of the divine beings. When divine beings come, they are here to tell us that we also have got that possibility. The same possibility as you see in your screen, that is the beauty of the human life. Human life have got both possibilities. Some of us can descend so low in their life that sometimes you look at them and you think, oh, are they even human beings? Some become so low that their life becomes only dedicated to primal passions and desires, only animalistic desires. And some become so high in their morals and virtues and principles that they become like divine. You look at them and you think God is here. You look at the lives of Saint Francis of Assisi, Puja Gurudev, many great souls, and you think, gosh, divine is there. And some of them you see and you think, even if there is any humanity is left, that is the thing. Human beings have got both possibility. We are on a spectrum. If you look at a cat, you can't say that he's more cat, he's less cat, he's more dog, he's less dog. No. But human beings, you can say that he's got more humanity, he's got less humanity. That kind of spectrum is inside us. I remember a story of a Zen monk who was dying, and he called his closest disciple. He said, listen, I'm dying, but I wanted to share the message of my life with you. So disciple said, yeah, tell me the master. He said that there are two dogs living inside me. One is asking for happiness, one is asking for excellence in the life, and another is asking to decline. Another wants to do all the bad things, and they both are fighting. And disciple was looking with great attention what his master is going to say. And master said, that dog wins to whom you feed. That dog wins to whom you feed. We want happiness in our life, we get that. We want excellence in our life, we get that. That is what this message is saying to you. That life is what? Life is a journey from B to the D. B is birth, D is death. Both are not in our hands. What is left in the middle, C, is completely in our hands. C is the choices. We always have the right choice in our hand to make. No matter what kind of circumstances are there, no matter how hard, how adverse, how bad, how cynical the circumstances are, we always have the possibility to make the right choice in our hand. We can always make that choice. There is a very beautiful story that comes in the Indian scriptures, the story of a saint. And the saint was trying to save a scorpion. A scorpion was biting him. The scorpion was about to drown in the water and he was trying to save him. And every time he approached him, and a scorpion would give him a bite, a sting. So one person was walking by. He said, why you are wasting time to save a scorpion? It's his nature to bite you. Saint said, it may be his nature to bite me. It's my nature to save him. It's our nature to save things. It's our choice to do the right thing. And if we think that that kind of choice only lies with certain people, then we have to remember the words of Maharishi Arvind, greatest philosopher. And he said that everyone, every single person, no matter how bad he is or how bad he looks, he has a chance of perfection. He always has a possibility to change the course of his life. Even in a smallest kind of a sphere in his personality, he has this possibility that we can call excellence. Anytime in our life, we can change it. We can change the course of our life. Everyone knows it deep in their heart, what is right and what is wrong. There comes the story of Mahabharata, the greatest epic written in India. And it's a story, in the Mahabharata, there is a story of a fight, a war, a battle, a very remarkable, historical, precarious and unprecedented battle called Mahabharata. Mahabharata, that was led by Lord Krishna, and one of the major elements of that war was the fight between two sets of brothers. They both were brothers, cousins. Pandavas and Kauravas. Pandavas were 5, Kauravas were 100. Pandavas were doing everything right, Kauravas were doing everything wrong. They are called evils, adharma. And Pandavas were called dharma. Dharmaraj was the name of the eldest son, Yudhishthira. Uncle was baffled. Uncle was confused. Uncle thought, why on earth? Why on earth, he said to Duryodhan, who was the bad one, villain of this story. He said, what's wrong with you? You both went to the same school, you and Yudhishthira, the good one. You both are brothers. You both lived in the same house. Both were taught by the same teachers. Then he keeps doing everything right, you keep doing everything wrong. What is wrong with you? And Duryodhan said, Jana pi dharmam nachame pravritti. I know what is dharma. Won't do it. I know what is right. I won't do it. Jana pi adharmam nachame nivritti. I know what is wrong. I won't leave it. Kenopi devena hridisthitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. It's like somebody is sitting inside me, and wherever it niyukta points me, I feel obliged to do it. He knows what is right and what is wrong. He just does not want to do it. Many people are in the similar situation. They know what is right and what is wrong. It's not a question of information, it's a question of determination. They lack the determination. And if everyone could be determined to take the path of divinity, to take the path of humanity, to take the path of leaving a message, then Gurudev said that there would be rise of divinity in man and descent of heaven on earth. If everyone can remember their divine possibility and potential, there is no other heaven we have to look for, it's right there. If only one thing we can do is to remember the divine possibility that we have. Those of you who may not be familiar with Gurudev's life and work, try to imagine a person. Imagine a person who 42 years of his life, he started his sadhana, he started his penance at the age of 15, went to Himalayas, he did 24 years of the highest possible penance that one can do in the current circumstances. Gayatri Mahapurushcharan, 24 years. And then every 10th year he went into completely incognito in solitude. If you get time, then read the work of his life called Companions in Solitude, Sunsan Ke Sahchar, that is of his journeys to Himalayas, voyages to Himalaya. Remarkable soul, and remaining 38 years. So 42 years of his life, solitude. 38 years, he wrote 3,400 books. We recently digitized, got about 3,397 books on the e-store. And then created this huge organization with 150 million members, 5,000 centers, all coming from his single life. It's like one person lived a life of 5,000 people at the same time, and last 5 years of his life, when he must have written at least 500 books, he always talked about one single thing, that the only solution to the problems of the world is for everyone to remember the divine potential within. Otherwise, world would be hell as it is right now. We need to change. And to change, we have to remember the divine within. That was Pujya Gurudev talked about. Rise of divinity in man and descent of heaven on earth. So from the eyes of the great people, from the eyes of illumined people, the possibility by the name of human life that's been given to us is there for us to remember the divine potential that we carry within ourselves, and each of us, we do. We may have forgotten, we may have been lost, but it makes no difference. Whenever we would be able to remember, we would always be able to pull ourselves to our last frontier, final freedom, divine possibility. And the journey to reach to that final possibility is the journey of the human excellence. This is from the eyes of the great people. But if we look around, then we say that human beings or humanity has been passing through many challenges. We have had lots of technological advancement, but somehow the character and the human personality has been compromised, sacrificed. We have got everything. We have got money, but satisfaction is gone. Prosperity, but contentment is gone. We have got huge houses, but families are gone. Outside there are too many developments. Outside there are too many remarkable accomplishments to follow. But inside somehow, for whatever the reason, inside we have lost many things. We have lost our character, we have lost our peace, we have lost our serenity, we have lost our clarity of the mind, we have lost the divinity of the human aspiration, and many problems are there. But as our aim is from this presentation is to make everyone remember their social call, their social duty. I'm not going to talk about those issues and those possibilities which are only of individual aspiration loss, but I'm going to talk about the collective issues. And one of the major issues to talk about is the environment. And everyone knows, I think every single facet, every single aspect, every single dimension of the environment is currently being compromised. It's polluted to greatest extent, from soil to water, from space to every single dimension is currently in a very dreadful condition. But one interesting equation is there on your screen that you would be able to see, and it is worth remembering this equation. It says that Earth right now is 4.7 billion years old. From the entire Srishti, entire Genesis, 13.7 billion years old, but Earth came about 4.6 billion years ago. If we scale that to 46 years for the sake of convenience, then we have been here for 4 hours. Our journey, this is to say, in the journey of this planet, is very small. Literally, if we make a clock of 24 hours, then we would appear a minute and 17 seconds before the midnight. Everything else would take place. We think Dinosaurs were here just because we watched the movies that they were here yesterday, but they were here 65 million years ago, long time ago. Our journey in the journey of the planet is very small. We literally came a minute before this entire cycle has taken place in 24 hours. And in this 1 minute, about 250 to 300 years ago, when our industrial revolution started to take place on this calculation, in this duration, we have destroyed 50% of world's forest. Could this be called sustainable? The way everything is going, everyone is saying that 2024 is the point of no return, that if we won't make the right measures, if we won't take the right decisions, if we won't create the right policies, then it would be too late. Air pollution is rising to the extent that only in Delhi there are about 2 million babies, 2 million young children whose lungs are of the state that somebody has been smoking cigarette for 20 years. So their lungs are in the similar condition, and it's not their fault. How could it be their fault? They are only 8 years old. So it's not their fault. It's the fault of the fact that we have taken the steps which has completely destroyed the planet. And the reason I'm saying it, not because you and I are responsible for it. Reason I'm saying it so that we can remember that we have to make the right decision now. And the reason it is also important because people in the current race seem to have forgotten the value of saving what is worth saving. If you tell the people that you plant a tree and you will get oxygen, they will listen to it, probably won't do it. But if you tell the people that you plant a tree and you will get free Wi-Fi, they'll probably do it, just because the priorities have changed significantly. And if we think of the reason that why this happened, then one of the reasons is that we needed progress. Of course, I'm not entitled to the scientific progress. But if you look at the picture on your screen, you would see that this progress came at a cost. A beautiful story comes of Chhatrapati Shivaji, the great king of India. He went to the battle of Singhgad. Singhgad he wanted to have, and one of his close aide, his right hand, he died in that battle. He got the fort, but friend died. But mother, Shivaji's mother, he heard the news that Shivaji has won the battle. So she was ready with celebration. She was ready with everything that she could do for celebration. But when Shivaji reached home, his face was upset. He was in despair. He was disappointed. So mother said, "What happened, Shiva? Why you are so sad?" And he said that I, which means mother, Gadhala, which means fort we got, Singela, but I lost the tiger, referring to his friend. Same is the situation now. We have got comfort, contentment is gone. With the advancement in technology, lots of good things have come. We won't be talking like this the way we are talking only because of technology. So I'm absolutely not entitled to the technology. What I'm saying that this technology came at a cost too dear to pay. If we look from a philosophical point of view, then we would realize that this technology came with a challenge. First, just at the picture, 15 years ago, people used to have some kind of social life. Now everyone, since everything has become limited to the computers and laptops and phones, shopping happening there, relationships happening there, studies happening there. So now everything is happening in the phone. So people are completely forgetting the art and skill of communicating with the other person. And the strength of humanity lies in our emotional connection with the other person. We are not stronger than the elephant. We only become strong because we have got a capacity to share our emotions and sentiments with the other human being. He may be coming from Italy, he may be coming from Africa, he may be coming from United Kingdom, but because I can share a bond with him and create a human civilization together, we can think about races, we can think about religion, we can think about Sanskriti, we can think about creating a culture, we can think about creating a cohort, and that is our strength. That strength that we have, no one else has. But that strength is being broken. Our connection with the other human being is completely being broken because we are limiting the people into the technology. They are becoming more and more lonely. It's a funny thing that few years ago, one of the universities started to offer a program called How to Talk to Normal People, because everyone is chatting. And they were thinking that people would understand the irony and satire of it, but still 100 people applied. Because people are really forgetting the art and skill of connecting with the other person. People are becoming more lonely, and people are becoming more impatient, more and more impatient. Earlier times, like, you would write a letter and it would go to the person. It would take weeks, sometimes even months to get the answer back. But now when people can send the message and it's been delivered and it's become blue, they start to get patient that, impatient that how come other person is not responding. They can't come out of the phone, otherwise they will come out of the phone and kill the other person. Just the level of impatience with the advancement in technology is too visible and too evident. You may be thinking it is a joke, but I remember reading a story of a girl who killed her husband in Florida because he was 2 minutes late liking her picture on the Facebook. This impatient is the reason, like, people, because there is bombardment of information, they can't, this impatience is there. Also, the attention span of the people is going. They did a very interesting piece of research, like, 70s, where they tried to see that how long people can follow a particular theme. This used to be 23 minutes that time, but now when they repeated the same experiment, it's down to 18 seconds. Within 18 seconds, attention span of the people is dithering, it's going. You can see that people go to the opera houses, they go to the cultural events, they even go to the religious ceremonies, their mobiles are out. They even go to the family dinners together, their mobiles are out. They can't focus on one theme. The reason we are not seeing a Kabir being born, Sur being born, Tulsi being born, Picasso being born, Beethoven, Mozart and Bach being born, because people are unable to focus on one particular theme for long. They can't devote to one single discipline for long. Earlier times people used to follow one career and career they would take for life. Now people change it within 35 years. They have changed already 6 professions, changed the relationships. It's just so difficult for people to follow a particular theme, and that makes it difficult to develop an expertise. Attention span of the people are going. People are becoming lonely. People are becoming inattentive. People are becoming impatient. And in addition to that, one beautiful thing, like this famous philosopher said, that we had the relationships so that we can love each other. We can share our problems. We can share our happiness with other person. We had relationships for that, and we had things like gadgets. We had gadgets like phone and car and laptops and other things so that we can use them. But what we are doing absolutely opposite. We are loving the things and we are using the relationships. We are manipulating the relationship, and the reason of the chaos is very clear. I think there was a survey being done in 2008 in London, and they asked the people that what is of greatest value to you. 62% people said iPhone. I think mother and father came on third or fourth number. It's happening in front of us. Technology is there, and it's not a fault of technology. What we need to learn is how we're going to handle the technology. And then the irony of the situation is very apparent to us, that we are living in a world where deleting history somehow has become more important than creating history. And this is the situation of the life that we have got, that we have got bigger houses than before, but families are gone. Much bigger than before houses we have got, but of course families are not there. We have got more education, but common sense is gone. I remember reading a story of Europe somewhere where they got 2.4 billion euro worth of trains delivered, and then only they realized that train track were not of the same size. It's not being made by the, people. Mistake is being made of common sense. We have got better medicine, better surgeries, better hospitals, but health is gone. We reached to the moon on one hand, but don't even know the neighbors. We have higher income than before, but peace of mind is gone. Here comes a story of a king in India who wanted to conquer the entire India, conquered half of it. and he wanted to conquer the rest of it. His guru said, why are you doing it? He said, I want to conquer the entire India. He said, imagine you have done it, what you would do. He said, I will make a beautiful palace. And he said, and then he said, then I will have number of jewels. And he said, and then he said, then I will have number of servants. He said, imagine that everything you wanted to have, you had it, what you would do. He said, I will do nothing. I will sit, enjoy and relax. Guru said, that's what I am doing right now. Why do you have to conquer the entire India to do it? So people have the income, peace of mind is gone. They have got better knowledge than before, but wisdom is gone. And worst of all, we have got more human beings, but humanity is gone. And this is the sad truth of our lives, that we are running non-stop, morning till evening, every day, every week, every month, every year. We are running, hardly any time. Only death stops us. But before that, we don't even realize that why we are running for and what we are running for. Remember reading a beautiful story of Gorky, who has written, the famous Russian author. He wrote a story called 6 Feet Underground. Story of a man who read somewhere that in Siberia they are giving land for free. So he went to the village. He said, are you giving land for free? He said, of course. Elder of the village said, we are giving land for free. He said, what do I have to do to get it? He said, nothing. Morning, the sun would rise, we will give you 4 flags. You start to run. As much as you run on the north, go and plant one. East another one, west another one, south we are standing. Whatever you cover belongs to you. He said, that's it, that's the only condition. He said, yeah, just come before the sunset. He said, but how come such a simple condition and such a simple, experiment, and how come no one has won it so far? They said, run tomorrow morning, you will know. Next day morning, he started to run. More he ran, more greedy he became. It's not only a story of that man, it's a story of each of us. More he ran. Imagine, think this of as your own life. More we run on this life, more greedy we become. We want house, we want not one house, 2 house, 3 house, 4 house. We don't want one car, we want 5 cars. We want not only one phone, we want 20 phones. This race does not end with one. It ends nowhere. So he was running. And 2 o'clock he remembered, oh, I am supposed to plant one flag, planted one. Then he thought, why am I running with the food? Throw away the food. Why am I running with the water? Get rid of it. Clothes, he got rid of them too. He said, okay, I have to run only on one day. Why am I carrying all the food, all the luggage? Without food, without water, without clothes, he was running in Siberia. And Gorky has written, sun was setting. Energy was going. He collapsed 6 feet before the finish line. Just finish line, 6 feet before it collapsed. And before collapsing, he just looked at the finish line and just there. When he regained the consciousness, sun was set. Whole village was gathered there. They were clapping. They said, oh, you came too far. So he looked at the elder of the village. He said, what would I get? He said, you will get nothing. He said, what would you do with this piece of land between my finish line and this, my fingers and finish line? Elder of the village said, we are waiting for you to die. We will bury you there. That's the only land you take. 6 feet underground, Gorky has written. That's the story of every single race on this planet. Everyone has run so far, but nobody could run it beyond cemetery. Nobody could run it beyond their last ride, beyond the last fire that they have to face. So we are running. What we are gathering is the question. The message from the life of illumined beings was to collect good karma, shubha karma. Collect the good deeds. What we have gathered is probably something that would be taken away. I remember reading Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, the famous gladiator from Roman Empire. Somebody asked him that you're going to die tomorrow. What you would do if you meet the gods? He said, if I meet the gods and they believe in good deeds, I would be happy to meet them. And if I meet them and they don't believe in good deeds, to hell with them. He said, but if there are no gods, I would die happily that I died doing good deeds. That's what the message of the life is. We are running. What we need out of this run is a life of excellence, And Gurudev gave such a beautiful definition. This is a definition everyone can remember, anywhere they can remember. Anytime you feel lost, remember the definition of Gurudev. He said 4 things are required for us to have the excellence in our life: purpose, attitude, compassion, and commitment. 4 things are there, your life has got excellence. First thing he said, and every single saying of Gurudev, he wrote 3,400 books, but every single of them is so pristine, so beautiful, so immaculate. He said, without purpose, our life is like a pendulum, moving a lot but not reaching anywhere. You see the pendulum going non-stop it is going, but not reaching anywhere. Gurudev said, same is with the human life. If we go without any purpose, then we are working a lot, we are busy, non-stop, but don't have a purpose. Just because we are busy does not mean that we have got a purpose. We confuse being busy with having a purpose. Just because we have a full schedule does not mean that we have gathered something meaningful in our life. For us to have purpose in our life, we need to remember why we are doing it. What is our intention? Not what we are doing, but why we are doing. That is the story behind the purpose. And whenever the story of purpose comes, people usually think, fine, we are too late, or we don't have money, or we don't have enough education to have the purpose in the life. And in those situations, I will ask you to remember these people. These are stories of real people who lived a life of purpose, had no major background, but they lived life of great purpose. The old person that you see on this screen with some medical equipment, his name is James Harrison. He's a bricklayer from Australia. Hardly had any education, up to 4th or 5th standard he had. And 14 or 15 years ago, he was given the highest award that any civilian could receive in Australia, Victoria Order of Merit. Then he was given the highest award of England, highest award of France, and he is working simply as a laborer. What did he do special? The story is very heartwarming. He was 13 years old, going on a bicycle. A lorry came and hit him. He was lying in a pool of blood. People took him to the hospital, took him to the ICU. 14 people had to donate blood to save his life. When he came out, he said that the moment I would turn 18, which is the legal age to donate blood, the first thing I would do is that I will donate blood. Turned 18, went to the hospital. They checked that whether his blood is safe enough to be given to other people, and what they found was something remarkable, fascinating. His blood had a special protein which, if being processed and given to those whose mother and father had different mismatching blood groups, like rhesus incompatibility they call it, their life could be saved. Those babies, their life could be saved if his blood was given to them. So he made that as his life's purpose. From the age of 18 to 73, when this photograph was taken, that one man donated 1,000 liters of blood plasma, saving lives of 2 million babies. He was stopped at the age of 81 when he had already given 1,181 units of blood plasma, saving lives of 3.2 million babies. His blood was sent to 34 different countries. Simple purpose, but was so effective that it saved life of so many people. We each can have it. We don't have to have a big purpose like opening a institution. It could be a simple purpose but right purpose. We don't need a big purpose, but we need right purpose. Second story is of a young boy. He was 8 years old. Carl. The story was like 10 years ago, and he won $1,000 in the scavenger hunt. And when he got his $1,000, like all the mother said that you want to go to Disneyland, pair of Jordans, what do you want? He said, no. I want to give it to the girl living next door. She has got blood cancer. And he phoned the mother. When mother heard the story, she started to cry. She said, I can't take money from an 8-year-old boy. Can't take it. But she told her story to the Chicago Tribune. Chicago Tribune published it. When Chicago Tribune published it and people read the story, 200 people donated the day one to save the lives of innumerable babies. One 8-year-old boy can change the life of many people. One man of 73 years old can change the life of many people. One person I remember who was a farmer in India, planted 2 trees in the morning, 2 in the evening, managed to plant thousands of trees, creating an entire city by the name Hazaribagh. Hazar means thousands. Bagh means gardens. One person did it completely. Anyone can do it. And then there is this beautiful story of this old lady called Suhasini Mistry, illiterate woman, selling vegetables as you can see in the picture. Comes from a very small village of India, and she became widow at the age of 21. Her husband contracted an infection, simple infection, but there was no hospital in the village, could not get medical attention. Husband died, and she felt so sad. She said, if there was a hospital in my village, I would have saved him. So she decided that she will open a hospital in the village. And whosoever heard, they laughed. They said that, listen, you became widow at the age of 21, you have no education, you have 4 children to feed, the youngest one is 3 months old, and you are selling vegetables. How would you open a hospital? You can barely feed yourself. But there was such a blessing. Her third number son became a doctor, got very decent job in a very remarkable hospital of India. He left that, returned back to his village, and when his professors, his peers, his colleagues, they heard the story, they said, okay, we will go to see how come this boy coming from such a downtrodden, underprivileged background, how come he did not accept the job, what he is doing back in the village. They went there, and when they heard the story of Suhasini Mistry, they started to cry. 3 decades were gone, and in all these 3 decades, that single woman, she was saving every single penny that she could save to open a hospital in the village. Never purchased new clothes for herself, nothing for the children, nothing for the house. She was given the highest award of India last year, and remarkable life she had. So 37 years were gone. All she could save was close to 250 euros, $250. That's it. Nothing more. You can't open a hospital from that amount. But when people heard this story, one person gave the land for free. Doctor said we will treat it for free. Builder said we will build it for free. Electrician said we will fit it for free. Fitter said we will fit it. Pharmacist said we will give the medications from free. And she opened a hospital called Humanity Hospital. From poor for poor. And that is a dream of one person who had no education. She had the dream, she had the purpose. We all can have the purpose. And after the purpose, what we desire the next is something even much more meaningful, which is in Hindi, as you can say, it says Utsarga. Utsarga means compassion. And there is a very beautiful saying given by Gurudev there. He said that if we are human beings, then our purpose could be humanity. What else could be the purpose? If we are only living for ourselves, if our only goal is to satisfy my own ego, then animal is better. Its skin could be used for something, but we wasted the opportunity. If we lived without humanity, then we wasted the opportunity. Our purpose is to live for humanity. And there are some beautiful examples. There is example of this young boy, born blind. He had cataract. Both mother and father, they were 21 years old. And when they saw him, they each gave their one live eye. They said, whatever we wanted to see in this world, we have seen. We can live with one eye, but he should have a future. Compassion, humanity. This is what the compassion is. Then there is another example of these 2 blind men who were struggling to open the tap of the water. And there was a monkey sitting on the tree. When monkey saw them struggling, he came down to open it. If animals can have it, then we are human beings. We are supposed to have humanity. So purpose, compassion, then comes the commitment. People can have purpose, people can have compassion, but they also need is commitment. Many people take the good sankalpa, they take good determination, but what they really struggle is to take it to the last step, because they take a good sankalpa, but then it dies after a few days or even few hours. In such situations, people think, oh no, those people were great people, they could do it, we can't do it. No, we all can do it. Remember the story of this man, his name is Terry Fox. He was the national hero of Canada. National hero of Canada. He was 20 years old. He was diagnosed with the osteosarcoma of the bone, cancer of the bone. If you look closely, his right leg has been amputated. They gave him like a prosthesis, very poor prosthesis. Literally an iron rod is hanging from his right leg. They gave it to him. And the metastasis had taken place. The cancer was all in the small parts of the body. And he was given only 6 months to live. Prognosis was poor. Anyone in the same situation would think about dying, that what kind of life I would have. And this boy, he said, I may be gone, but there are so many people with cancer. Can I do something for them? I may be gone in 6 months. Doesn't make a difference. I will like to make difference in the life of other people. So he said, I will run on one leg. If I can complete 1 kilometer, then people who want to give, they should give $100 for cancer research. And Terry Fox ran. He ran 143 days, covering 5,373 kilometers, collecting $200 million for cancer research. One boy with one leg. Then we have got a small video to share with you. It's the story of Jessica Cox that you can see. And then this story is the story of, like, one lady with without any arms. And then you just heard the story of the Jessica. And this story is remarkable. Like, it's the story of one lady who had no arms, but still she got the honors in the psychology, and she is the only armless pilot in the world.
My name is Jessica Cox, and I live in Tucson, Arizona. I'm a motivational speaker. I've traveled to 17 different countries. My situation of being born without arms requires a lot of creativity. I would see all the kids around me climbing up the monkey bars or climbing up the slide, and for me, I felt somewhat frustrated because I was prevented from that. I wanted to run up and climb up that slide just like all the other kids. At times I would vision flying over the playground and being Superwoman. I realized that I needed to adapt to the way everyone else did things, and it wasn't about catering to my needs or my special situation, but it was more about me adapting and being creative and coming up with ways of using my feet or using other methods to become independent. Put my pants onto the hook, then I just step into the pants like this, and I wiggle my way into my pants. I've heard the saying a number of times that, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. So that's why I fell in love with psychology. Psychology fascinated me in that sense that it really did credit a lot to how we thought. It was a 3-year process to become a pilot. I had to find a specific airplane, and it has 2 less controls than most standard airplanes. And so therefore I can actually keep my right foot on the yoke, my left foot on the throttle. The most incredible, most empowering experience I've ever had. It was great. It's that feeling of being free, of being, in the sky, and just that incredible feeling of being up there. What I enjoy is not really knowing where I'm going to be next. In the next 4 months, I'm going to be in 4 different countries. And I remember promising myself I would never again wear those fake, heavy, prosthetic arms. Here's our flight. We will go out to the different areas of Ethiopia, visit with the families of children with disabilities, and help them overcome their own difference as well, and bring that confidence that I had to develop over the years and help share that with them. The achievement that I'm most proud of, I think, is maturing from someone who was angry and upset about being differently abled, or being someone who was different, to now being able to celebrate that and use it as an opportunity to give hope and inspiration to other people.
Then we also have got this, you just heard the story of this boy. no arms, no legs, but still he managed to do so many things in the life.
I wasn't ready. I have no arms and no legs, but I'm very thankful that I have my little chicken drumstick here. People freak out when they see me for the first time. It's so cool. I was at a water slide all by myself. Everyone obviously at the bottom of the slide is looking up and waiting for other people to come down, and here I come and they're freaking out. They're like, you know, like this. And I was so tempted to look at myself and go, what happened? You know? And there were times where I sort of looked at my life and thinking, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. And you keep on concentrating on the things that you wish you had or the things that you wish you didn't have. And you sort of forget what you do have. And there's no point, I believe, in my life where I wish I had arms, legs, I wish I had arms, legs, I wish I had arms, legs, because wishing won't help. But what I've seen in life are just a couple key principles. And the first thing that I've seen is to be thankful. It's hard to be thankful, man. I tell you, when I was 8 years old, I sort of summed up my life and thought, I'm never going to get married. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to have a life of purpose. What kind of a husband am I going to be if I can't even hold my wife's hand? It's a lie to think that you're not good enough. It's a lie to think that you're not worth anything. Oh boy. It's freezing, I can't feel my hands. I love life. You know, so many people come and say, how come you smile so much? And I'm like, well, it's a long story. But it's very simple at the same time. You see, it's very hard to smile sometimes in life. There are things that happen that you don't know and you don't understand, and you don't know if you're going to get through it. You know, you go through your storms in life and you don't know how long this storm's going to be. And today I want to share with you some principles that I've learned in my life that you can use in yours. Being patient is beautiful. I tell you, it's the hardest thing. But I realize I may not have hands to hold my wife's hand, but when the time comes, I'll be able to hold her heart. I don't need hands to hold her heart. You know, it is scary to know how many girls have eating disorders. It is scary to know how many people are just angry at life because of their situation at home and angry at others. It's scary to know how many people actually feel like they're worth nothing. Every single girl right here, right now, I want you to know that you are beautiful. You are gorgeous just the way you are. And you boys, you're the man. On this DVD, I share my experiences in life of how I've overcome challenges and seen a new, fresh perspective in life. To be thankful, to dream big, and to never give up. I speak to children, youth, and adults about key issues and principles that I've applied in my life that has given me the strength to conquer all that comes before me.
So even if we have nothing, we can still live a life of meaning and purpose. So after having purpose, after having compassion, after having commitment, what we need as the last, that this slide says in Hindi, is collective good. There is a very beautiful saying given by Gurudev. He says, destruction is easy. To destroy something, we need no training. But to construct, to do something good, we all need to be committed. We all need to work hard. If somebody is walking on the street and somebody comes and steps in, he needs no qualification from university that I have got the best diploma in killing people. No, you don't need it. But to repair the wound, you need to be a qualified doctor. To do good things, you need to be committed. And the reason to share this presentation with you is so that we all can remember that we all have got divine possibility. And if we are collectively working, then we can change the world. This world is not bad only because of the people who are bad, but also because of the people who are good and they don't do anything about it. It's our duty to do something good for those people, and if we live our life with those kind of virtues, values, purpose, intent and motive, then we can have a life of excellence. Same as Puj Gurudev had. On the right side of your screen you can see him, remarkable soul. I would urge all of you to read the life story of Gurudev, My Life and Its Legacy. It's a wonderful story, and we have taken lots of messages from Gurudev's autobiography, or the life of Swami Ramakrishna Paramahansa, or of Shri Aurobindo, or of Swami Vivekananda. They all had one single thing in common, that they had a life of excellence, and their life should inspire us to live a life of meaning and purpose. That is the life of human excellence. Pranam to all of you, and thanks for so patiently listening this conversation.